All right, who's excited? Who's excited? Welcome to the Cleric Corner. My name is Riker, and here we talk about all things Dungeons and Dragons, tapping into our higher powers to create worlds more unique and stories more impactful. Now, this is a new time, so thank you for being here. I did some recent polls in my community on the YouTube, and well, it was pretty unanimous that 6:30 at my Mountain Standard Time, this time where I'm at, is good for a lot more of you. So hopefully this time will work in the future for more of this kind of content, so I can interact with all of you, to have a place where we all can compile ideas and you know, throw ideas around and help each other out with all things D&D. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this new time. This will also be kind of a test because I got a brand new camera, and last time I kind of tested it, it kept overheating. So if that's the case, you will see me just go completely blank, and then I guess at that point we'll just we'll call it quits, and a test well tested, and I can figure out a new solution for next time. But cross our fingers that it was just it was some unknown thing, and that from here on out it'll be perfect. Cross our fingers. Who do we have in the chat? Alex Burns, hello. Fallstar, hello. Roland Crits, heck yeah. Going live head-to-head versus the D&D Spelljammer game. Bold. Oh, is there a Spelljammer game going on? Is this when the D&D Beyond does their thing? I don't know. I haven't been up to date with it. I saw the first few episodes, but then with all the other things that I had to catch up on, including Critical Role, there's no way. There's no way. I feel so bad that I can only watch one live game at a time, and I have no time for anybody else. So there's that. Roland Crits, you're too hot for your camera. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Also, bonuses for having this at this time in the evening. I won't have like bags under my eyes like some of you have pointed out in previous videos. So thank you for that. Celix Jigsaw Soul, did I say that right? Hello, welcome to the chat. James Floyd, awesome. We're getting a lot of faces that I haven't seen in either a while or not at all. Patricius the Human Fighter, it's a good race class combo. Hello there. And then Fallstar, at least you're not going up against Critical Role. Yeah. There was no way that I was going to do that. No way. But I also know that a couple other people have their live streams tonight too. So I hope not to kind of step on their toes. But hey, if this is a good time, apparently there's a good time for everybody because everyone else is doing it Wednesday night too. Anyways, so how tonight's going to work is going to kind of work just like last time. So if you guys have a question, just put question in all caps and then your question, then I'd love to answer it. But it is basically that. It's just a Q&A helping you out with your games, with your flavor, with your characters, with world building, with whatever. And then we can get some fun stuff there. If you were in the last chat, we talked a lot about a fire ganassi reflavored barbarian into a rakshasa, which was cool, and a lawful good hag, also really cool. So I actually watched that back, and I was able to condense it down in some other videos. So maybe you'll see that a little bit soon. But yes, and then of course, if you do super chat, I will make sure to get to your question right away and spend some extra time getting to the bottom of what you need. So that's that. So thank you guys again for being here. Roland been here for 10 seconds, already been charmed by Rucker. In the Discord, they're starting to say that I am a what's it called? A warlock of clerics, essentially. Like we have some lore. I need somebody to remind me of the lore of what we have. Basically, there was one being that created all gods and or was it that they created domains in and of, yeah, it's that there's one creature that created all the domains in and of themselves, and then the gods came and picked up the scraps, and now the gods obviously hold those scrap domains, where in reality they weren't the ones who created them, something else did. So, and who knows, maybe that's me, maybe that's somebody else, we'll see. Silix, you're actually the first to say it correctly. I know how you feel. I know how you feel. A lot of people don't pronounce my name correctly or spell it correctly, but I'm actually surprised. You guys do pretty well at it. A roll in crits. A cleric patron? Absolutely. And then after that, a corner patron. Like the cleric of corners. The corner domain. That's also floating around. And we probably have to make that soon. But if you aren't in the Discord, obviously there's a link in the description. You can join anytime. We got a lot of things going on. Just a lot of people just sharing ideas and having fun, talking to each other. Also, I guess I'll have to plug this one as well. We have a scriptorium again that just opened, and so if you guys want to, if you have experience with content creation, if you want to help write or homebrew or things like that for content for the Cleric Corner. And things that we have on both our website and our Patreon, then you are more than welcome to view that on the Discord and join if you want to. Here we have Christian Roberts in the chat. Hey, buddy. Question, how would you go about mystery or detective work in your campaigns? What is the best way of giving out information in these cases? Ooh. I have two answers to this question, because this is a fantastic question. I was actually, this might not be like a mystery detective work, but definitely a like heist kind of category. And the best way for those kind of things is actually what I saw Abria Ironguard do in one of her Critical Role campaigns. And they did a heist, and it was basically a moment where she gave all of the players the opportunity to say, "Oh, I planned for that." It doesn't matter what it was. They get to say, "Oh, I planned for this," or "Oh, I did this to help in this situation." You know what I mean? It's like, "Oh, I planned for this." So if they come up to a door and that door needs a key, they're like, "Oh, I planned for this." And then you kind of go into a flashback where the DM can narrate it or even play it out if they want to. And the character says, "Oh, I planned for this. A couple days ago, I met up with the guard, gave him some drinks, and I stole the key off him." And the DM might be like, "Great, you absolutely do that," or maybe you'll roll for it. But it's an opportunity to kind of pull off the magic of a heist in movies, where they do have those flashbacks, and where they basically come out on top at the last second, even though you, the audience, may not know exactly how they did it. They reveal that in the moment. And I thought that was a really, really cool thing. But as far as mystery and detective work, what's the best way to give information in these cases? Freely. In my opinion, freely. Even with a ton of information, players still won't get it. And that's my experience, and Christian, I know that's kind of been your experience as well. Players, even with a lot of information, a lot of cases don't connect the dots because they don't have your mindset. They haven't prepared the game like you have. They have not made the connections, or they don't know as much as you, right? And so what might be obvious to you because you know the backstory or what's going on in the back end, it's not as obvious to them. And so when you give information out for mystery and detective work, I would say that a lot of information is just fine. Plus you have spells that kind of make that happen anyways. Like, right, like I know I'm preaching to the choir, but the spell Speak with Dead. You can get real ripe information right off the bat from Speak with Dead. But then also a tip for those as well is that there are spells that counteract that. There are spells that make sure that the body does not be affected by the Speak with Dead spell. One of them being Speak with Dead. If something spoke with it as it was dead before, it cannot do so again, I think for 10 days or so. And the spell just automatically fails. And so especially if there's information that you don't want them to use, just know the spells that they have, and then you can counteract that. If there's any way if there is at any moment you want to not give out information, don't make it available. And maybe that's the best answer, is only put the things available to them as the things that you want them to know. Because if you put something in front of them and they roll good to know that thing, you did not do your job right. in layman's terms, right? And so just to be careful when you do that. Anyways, I've rambled off enough on that one. Hopefully that answers your question. Thanks. I'm doing a one-shot for a board game night. For a board game night. The problem is I don't know what level to have them make characters. Question: what is a good level to do one shot at? That's a very loaded question, but a great question. So thank you for asking. If they're brand new players, 1. Just start at 1. They have enough to worry about as far as the game and the rules go that they don't need a menagerie of abilities to play with. If they are experienced, most people enjoy like the 3 to 6 level area. It's not too difficult. It's not a lot to prepare for. It's not too overwhelming with a bunch of abilities to learn within a week if you're playing a different game before. And it's a place where you do get enough abilities where your character concept and your character concept actually comes to fruition, right? And you actually feel the thing that you're wanting to play. Where level 1 doesn't necessarily do that. You kind of get the baseline abilities there, but just the tropes, the fantasy tropes, are still there for people who want to play in that arena who have not played D&D before. And so I actually have a one-shot coming up here in a couple weeks that I'm doing for a couple people in California. I'm driving down there to play with them, and I'm starting them at level 1. Alex Burns, question. So getting ready to run TOA. What's TOA? Shoot. Guys, I don't know abbreviations. This is one thing that I am terrible at. TOA. What is that? Tomb of Annihilation. Haha. Haha. That was quick. Tomb of Annihilation, and I'm having an issue with character backstories on why they would go to Chult. I have a bounty hunter and want to tie into the hags without knowing they are hags. So the only thing that I know about Tomb of Annihilation and Chult is that it's a domain of dinosaurs. And unfortunately, here's a little tidbit on me. I started D&D after Tomb of Annihilation. I didn't start until after that was published. And so I'm not too familiar with that setting. However, if you're a bounty hunter, obviously, just real quick, obviously having anything to do with dinosaurs is pretty cool. Maybe you can tie in hags and the dinosaurs together. So you have a bounty hunter who wants to tie in hags without knowing they are hags. Oh, okay. So you don't want to know they're hags, but you're kind of meta knowing that they're hags. Okay. So I'm thinking of like, and this is what would be cool to me, is like a hag that owns dinosaurs, or that has charmed dinosaurs to kind of infuse Feywild magic with primal beings, and kind of what that would look like. I think that would be really insane. And with the Feywild, you obviously get a place of change. The Feywild is a domain of change, and so that domain, or the magic of that domain, speeds up the change in creatures, right? We see it in the Furbolg, where it used to be a giant, and then a few years in the Feywild made them into cow-like beings, or at least that's in my headcanon, right? And so maybe these dinosaurs that this hag has created or is in control of has more animalistic features or Feywild features. Maybe they're pixie dinos. Maybe they're just little T-Rexes with the wings on their back. How cool is that? That's kind of fun. Oh, it's something like that I think would be pretty fun. Great question. The Holy Corner domain has angles, not angels. Roland, you always got the good jokes, man. You always got the good jokes. Yeah, Chimera players. Hey, Chimera's in the chat. Hello. Players are like toddlers when it comes to explaining the mystery or figuring out the puzzle. Yeah, they are. Not that that's a bad thing, because me as a DM, I am also a toddler. Here we go. Alex Burns, question add-on. Okay, so I'm not sure how to go about that. The death curse won't start till after they have explored a little, and I want to use the hags more, just stumped on ideas. Okay. So you are talking about running the adventure where the hags are involved. The death curse won't start until after they have explored a little and want to use the hags just a little more on stumped on ideas. Yeah, maybe we can ask, does the chat have any ideas on how to do that? If they're more familiar with Tomb of Annihilation? Death Curse won't start until after they have explored a little, and I want to use the hags just more stumped on. So you want to use the hags before they kind of get into things a little bit more, is kind of what I'm understanding. And you're just lost for some ideas of how to implement that. I don't know if you were on my last live stream, but we talked a lot about some fun hag ideas, where just putting them in situations where hags are not. Like, normally you put hags in a swamp, but instead they could be the head of a thieves guild or a president of a mayoral office or a captain of a ship. It's just in places where they might be hiding out, but in places where they can influence other creatures or other people to their advantage. And in a lot of ways, mixing it up in those directions can really stump players because they expect hags to be in the jungle or in swamps, and when you go in and you kind of revert expectations on something, that's when the players have those like, oh my gosh kind of moments, right? So hopefully that maybe gives you a direction on maybe some things you can think about. So yeah, level 3 to 6 also makes a ton of magic items far more useful. Yeah, magic items are a ton. Yeah, magic items also, like, I'm not a big fan of magic items in one-shots, mostly because to me it's just another thing to worry about. And I'm talking about my experience. I'm not saying, like, this is how you should play for everybody. But magic items, to me, I'm like, they're like, hey, go ahead and take, like, a rare item. Take a rare item for your character. And I'm like, okay, rare items are kind of complicated. There's another thing that I have to keep track of, another like slot system that I have to, tack on and off as I use it. Depending on the item, obviously maybe I'll be excited because it'll complete a character concept, and most of the time it'll be just that's the reason that I have it, is just to complete a character concept. But in other reasons, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pick like an uncommon item to help finish out what I'm thinking, and that's it. That's good for me. If they tell me like, hey, you can have 3 magic items, I'm like, I'm okay. I'm good. It's actually kind of funny. In some one shots that I've done, magic items are the last thing that I think about, and there are multiple occasions where Christian knows this, where I come to the game and I have not picked out my magic items yet. I just don't think about magic items. For some reason I don't. But if you do use magic items, obviously they're another way to help your players feel like they have more. So if they've wanted to play even higher levels, maybe and you don't want to, put them at 3 to 6 and then give them a bunch of magic items, and maybe they'll be excited for that, right? Just another thing. Okay. Patricius, the human fighter. My thing with Tomb of is that Asarak doesn't have much present in the story. Sure, the jungles are full of undead, but unless you use the cold open at the start, the characters don't know it exists. There you go. Ymil, Fey dinosaurs would probably have a lot more feathers. Okay, feathered dinosaurs over any other dinosaur. Feathered dinosaurs reign supreme, and they are the only ones that matter. I love feathered dinosaurs. They're the best. Roland, if you have a bounty hunter and you want to link them to the hags, why not have the hags have something that the bounty hunter wants? Hey, there you go. The hunter doesn't need to know that they are hags. That's great. Yeah. With the bounty hunter, maybe they have something that the bounty hunter is hunting, or the bounty hunter, or the hags killed something that the bounty hunter was after, and now has to make do with that. Question, how would you make, this is with Jade Gordon, hello. Question, how would you make permanent injuries fair? Okay. Crit slashes, the fighter in plate, dragon instead rips arm off, any saves or it deals no damage, then they lose the limb instead. Yeah, that's a good question. I think that really the fairness comes in session 0. Where your players know exactly what they're getting into. That's where the fairness comes from, right? If they know that they're coming into a game and that permanent injuries are a thing, they're either going to be more careful or they're going to understand when it actually comes up, right? And so when they get attacked with like a critical hit with a huge bite attack that does massive damage, then they're going to lose a limb, right? They know this. And so they won't be, so hopefully they won't be surprised, and hopefully they won't fight back because you've already had this conversation. And so that's pretty fair at that point. And being fair, I think that's also a conversation of what requires that injury with your players. You could just have it be a critical hit, and you roll on a big injury table, with some being pretty detrimental and maybe some not being, where others can be you have to take damage equal to half your total hit points. And only when that happens, you roll on the injury table. Or you don't even have a table and you kind of just improv it, where it's a bite attack. Obviously, it takes a chunk out of whatever they are. But if it's a tail attack, they break some ribs. And obviously, broken ribs can heal a lot quicker, a lot better than a missing arm. Also, an option, to be fair, is that the temples or the clerics in your world have regeneration easily available. And so when these things happen, yes, it'll be a detriment until they get to the nearest city or things like that. And so they'll have that consequence. But once they get to a city, they know that they can recuperate and get to their full strength and play as they normally would, or as they would want to. So hopefully that answers your question. Dolan, so to piggyback on that idea, why not have the hag use a title while using disguise self, and until they figure out this person giving them their mission, boom, reveal it's a hag. Beautiful. Roland makes a good point too. That would be a great and reliable tie-in for the party. Oh, I think I missed something. It's good that you guys are working together. Love it. James Floyd, a question, kind of a roleplay question. I want to play a shadow clone doppelganger and have my character impersonate the newest clone. Whoa, okay. You want to roleplay a shadow clone doppelganger and have my character impersonate the newest clone. So, and have my DM help me to play two characters and even trick the party. James Floyd, you are ambitious, my friend. You are ambitious. So, I don't know what the difference is between a shadow clone and a normal clone. Maybe I'll look that up real quick. Are we talking about jujitsu? Or is that what we're talking about? Oh. Is it a monk ability? Is that what this is? Hold on. If you know, let me know. If you know, let me know. No, it's not a monk ability. Interesting. Okay. Well, let me know what that is. A shadow clone doppelganger. I'm just going to assume that it's a clone doppelganger, and then having you impersonate the newest one of these clones. Is the clone your old character? Because like I know a doppelganger in D&D, it doesn't look humanoid, and it's very obviously a doppelganger. So I don't know if you're a clone of a doppelganger or you're a clone of another character. Oh! You want to play a shadow clone doppelganger and have my character impersonate the newest clone. So okay, so you have two characters, one's a doppelganger and one is a clone. Got it. Okay, sorry. And then you want to play both of these characters and be able to trick the party with that. Okay, that's great. So how do you roleplay that? Ooh, that's a good question. Well, really you're role-playing a character, and you're not really role-playing the dynamic between them. But I would definitely keep in mind the dynamic that you have with the players with one character and the players with the other character. I would keep track of that. Because what the doppelganger might hear and know when they're with the party, if I'm getting this right, and what your character will know when they're with the party will be two different things. And so the discrepancies might come up in game where you remember things differently with each character, and the other people might catch on, leading to the reveal. And then obviously make sure that the DM knows when each of these characters are present. And with these two, you might want... pick a quirk. If you really want to as well, pick one quirk that differentiates these two, and only use that quirk when you're with one. Also, kind of a hook, and it's something for the other character, the other players to grab onto. And at that point, you can reveal in your own way, or they find out in secret. Each of them would kind of be fun as well. And so I like that idea. That's really, really cool. I like that idea. I'm assuming there are two characters kind of with the same stats as well. If you do two different subclasses, it might be a little obvious that that is happening, and maybe some other players might be a little sad that you get to play two subclasses and they don't, kind of thing. But that's kind of my thoughts with that right away. I think that's a really fun one. Okay, what we have here. Fallstar has a good point. Danger of free magic items is that some were just broken. It was told you could pick anything on the gray list in D&D Beyond. I picked the No Regard Grenade, which has no business not being an artifact. Yeah. There are times where I would start a D&D game and I would tell them specific items that they could pick from. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say that once you do allow them to pick any item, don't be afraid to say no. And I always preface that as well. If the one shot doesn't really matter, I don't care, right? They're just having fun. But if it's a one shot that may be like a pre-log to what's going on in the normal campaign or something more relevant, I would say, hey, you can have these items, but once you pick one, just run it by me so I can say yes or no. And that should be an easy fix if you got good players. Let's see. I'm falling behind, guys. I'm falling behind. Okay, yeah. Villains love contracts. Hags be a part of higher ups that send the party with a contract. That could also be a great one. Absolutely. What do you think of the idea of replacing all sneak attack damage with inflicting incapacitation for a number of turns equal to sneak attack die? Whoa. That would be an interesting subclass, I think. Incapacitation for a number of turns equal to sneak attack die. I would probably have it a save. I would probably make it a save of incapacitation, because if they're incapacitated, then that's sneak attack every round. And usually creatures don't survive a sneak attack more than 1 or 2 rounds. So I would say that you might need to work around that a little bit. Definitely a different condition is better. Poison is always kind of a go-to for rogues. Paralyzation, but that is kind of in the same boat. Sneak attack is dangerous for a reason, and there isn't a lot of add-ons to sneak attack for a reason. But go crazy and have fun with it. And if you're not afraid of it being too strong, and there you go. If you're throwing a rogue at a party, if you're the DM and you're throwing a rogue at a party and you're giving them this ability, that could work depending on the balance. Because once they get one creature down, they have 4 other on top of them, which kind of holds their attention. So, Christian Roberts, Riker knows I played a chaotic evil character in my first character in the party of good adventurers. Play nice, be helpful, and play your evil side nonchalantly, and have subtle quirk the DM knows. Yeah, absolutely. If you are, make sure that you don't. You're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You're not against the party. You're against the alignment, but you're not against them in purpose. That's kind of, in my opinion, how best you can play an evil character. There are some other YouTubers that, what's his name? Play Your Role's YouTube channel. He has a great video on that, on playing evil characters. But basically be one in purpose, have the same goals as the party or the same direction, but maybe the way you're going about it may be a little bit different, or you just keeping that more or less you're keeping it under wraps, and you just have different motives for completing the task than they do, but the task is the same. So, okay, let's see who we got. On a different note, my DM group, or my my group just finished Witchlight. Always fun when the Jabberwock is killed by the Barbarian with one swing of Snickersnack on the first round of the natural 20. As a DM, I was like, yeah. I love those moments. I haven't had one of those in a while, though. Goodness gracious. Look up Pointy Hat video D&D about hags. Better. D&D hags with better. It was an inspiration for the idea. That's another one you can look at. I haven't seen his hag video. I know that most of his videos are kind of just going over the thing, like the main topic at hand, and then maybe like a little twist at the end. I think that's who he is, right? Yeah. He's who he is. Ooh, interesting. Thank you, but now I have to leave. Oh, see you, James. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it dropping by. I have a PC at the moment who has Jade Gordon says I have a PC at the moment who has dead past PC as their ghost companion. That's cool. So I had to sometimes talk to myself. He solved that issue of two different knowledge experiences by having me experience both at the same time. Oh, that's awesome. That's a really good way to do that. I love that. So if I'm understanding you correctly, your other PC died, your last character, and the DM allowed you to continue to know the things that you used to know by allowing the ghost of your last companion to haunt or be the companion of your new character. And I think that's really, really cool. I have not thought about that before, which makes me think about some things. That's a good idea. Silux, so something like medium, the game mechanics. Oh, CJB 1405, welcome to the chat. Hello. Hey, I'm doing my first cleric with the Loxodon race. Any tips? The Loxodon race? Cleric with the Loxodon race. Loxodons are fun because you don't see them as a cleric very often because they don't really have a lot of abilities that coincide with clerics, which a lot of people say like, oh, that's, you know, not good because they don't coincide, but a lot of people say, no, that's great because they make up for some of the weaknesses that a cleric may have. So so actually I'll open this up to browsing here, and we can see the Loxodon. So we have alignment, size, powerful build, can carry, push, drag, or lift heavy objects, speed 30 feet, saving throws on charmed or frightened, natural armor. Your AC is 12 plus your Constitution modifier. It might be better if you just have heavy armor for some of the clerics, but some clerics don't give you heavy armor, which this is actually perfect for you. And then you can use your natural armor to determine your AC if the armor you wear you leave with a lower AC. Oh no. See, that's what I talked about, guys. It's overheating. Dang it. Dang it. So I'm wondering why that is. And if anyone knows what is happening to my camera and why it's overheating and how I can stop it, because this has not happened before. And it was perfectly fine to my other camera, and now it's overheating for some reason. So, that's tough. But anyways, while I'm dark, I'll just finish this conversation. But you also get a trunk that acts as a snorkel, reaches 5 feet, and you can lift, drop, hold, push, or pull an object to a creature, kind of as an extra limb. And you also have keen smell, advantage on wisdom perception checks, and wisdom survival, and intelligence investigation checks. Which also is very, very good for clerics because they are wisdom based. Right? And then, you know, common and Loxodon. So, with the cleric Loxodon, any tips to play it? I'm not exactly sure what your character concept is, but we have a very let me think about this because you're giving me a very, very white and large canvas here. But I'd say lean into your powerful build, and maybe with backstory wise, maybe you're one that helped carry the what is it called? Like the Ark of the Covenant, right? Ark of the Covenant kind of thing. There's a lot of elephant type religious paraphernalia in a lot of different religions. So maybe take inspiration from Ganesh, or some Native American culture, or some things like that, where you can use those things and not necessarily be just a beast Loxodon, but getting some of your features or reaching out in power to gods that have similar visage to you, which would be kind of fun. So anyways, with that, guys, I think I'm going to call it quits there. It's actually, it's time. So it lasted about when I needed to. So I'll figure that out. But yeah, rolling crits, too hot for the camera. Yep, too hot for the camera. And have fun with this Loxodon, though. I think that's phenomenal. Loxodon Detective would be... they're awesome for detectives. Awesome for detectives. Clerics are awesome for detectives. So Loxodon Cleric Detective is an excellent idea. And we'll end on that one. So, anyways, in the meantime, go out there and spread the good word of D&D and make the world a better place, both on and off your table. Thanks for joining, everybody. Take care.